Okay. It says we're live.
Okay.
Let's
Oh my
check.
God.
Jesus Christ.
Here
What
we
a
are.
catastrophe.
Yeah.
Okay, it says we're
Oh my
live.
goodness.
I'm going to open it on the phone.
Yeah.
Yep, there's our stupid
Yeah, I see.
faces. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I mean, we'll see
Oh
if
my
anyone
God.
shows up.
Yeah, see what shows back. Yeah. The
So,
nightmare.
fuck you, Gilded. Piece
Yeah.
of shit.
My internet was completely fine. Everything else was good except for this.
Yeah. And it was like we're calling each
took a
other
huge
and
shit.
it's not fucking picking up again.
not
It was like
working.
mega boomer moment. That fucking sucked.
Yeah. Herald the collapse right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my god. I like tried to keep talking, but like the Gilded noises were just like blasting in my fucking ear. I was like, oh, this is so disorienting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God.
Oh man.
This wouldn't happen if this was Crypto Locker.
Right. Yeah. Everybody would have terabit connections and
Exactly.
oh man. That's true. Anyway, so what I was
Anyway,
trying
whatever
to
you
say,
were talking about.
Yeah, I was what I was trying to say is that Nick played in a game that I ran called Crypto Locker. And the idea was basically it's like if Black Mirror was not written for stupid people. It's like near future science fiction.
Or dystopic.
But yeah, less dystopic. Because the idea, like, I don't like this stupid sci-fi where everything is like grim and dystopian.
So overdone.
It's so
Cynicism is
overdone.
so overdone.
I just hate cynicism. I just hate it.
the poison
Especially in
of our age.
sci-fi. It's like you look at like fucking sci-fi art from the 60s, like 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's amazing. It was like this incredible
futuristic
yeah, like
aspirations.
people
and,
are living on the moon and in space stations and shit.
Yeah, great art.
Yeah. And so it's like I didn't want to
life
have
could be.
just like
Yeah.
a world that, you know, was going to be, oh, the corporations took over everything and or
Yep.
the, you know, the governments took over, or there was global warming and all this other shit. Like I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
So the idea was looking at trends at the time, and not trying to make like predictions of what I thought was going to come true, but things that I thought would be cool. And one of those things, obviously, is like I'm a huge fan of cyberpunk settings, and like Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Anything where people, you know, are putting machines in their brains, and having this kind of like cleaner world, a much more prosperous world across the board. One in which man has gone to space, and there are like O'Neill cylinders, you know, not just in orbit, but in farther out in the solar system, and having seasteading like nations, basically like thousands of new countries in these megalopolises on the sea that can like split and
Yeah.
recombine, and really taking like just a different and interesting look at the world. And the one shot, the premise was that because this was like right when all the ransomware stuff was really hitting the news for the first time with Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you know, it was like like hospitals and stuff like that were getting infected with ransomware. Which, if you don't know what ransomware is, it's basically where someone puts, you know, you get a virus on your computer and it like encrypts your hard drive, all of your data, unless you send Bitcoin to this address in this amount of time. If you don't do that, sorry, your data is locked away forever. So my idea was taking that and applying it to people who had like brain augmentations, and having them, it's like you wake up one morning and you're going to your corporate job, but you wake up and there's someone in your house, but they're not actually there. They're in your brain, and they're telling you you're going to do what I ask. You're going to steal what I'm telling you to steal, or implant data into your company's servers, And if you don't, then your higher brain function is now encrypted, and you've basically been lobotomized. And so it was like this premise to get all of these people working for like this big tech company to like be forced to do industrial espionage. And of course, everything goes horribly wrong. It turns into like an action movie by the end, and then when it ends, their identities are burned, like they're wanted criminals now, and the choice is like disappear forever or become like the A-Team. Like the and so I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think I'm going to try and develop this into a more fleshed out setting, because it was kind of just a grab bag of different ideas, but I really like the premise, and I think that there's not really anything like it in terms of having kind of a brighter version of the future that still has conflict. They're just different and weirder conflicts than you had previously, So I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
kicking around the idea.
About it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to a corporate job. I thought this was supposed to be a helpful view of the future. Yeah. That's true. Oh, getting lobotomized? I get it. There's the hope. Yeah. I too long to escape the shackles of the tech job.
Yes.
I'm not going back to bartending though. Never again.
Never again. Yeah. The only thing worse.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
At least the corporate job pays though. I mean, like bartending was just this nightmare.
Yeah. I've wanted to give Eclipse Phase a shot for a long time. I remember I played a one shot of it.
That's actually kind of the reason I came up with this. Was I was really interested in the Singularity, and like I heard that this was like a post Singularity game, and so I went and I read about it, and I was like, this isn't quite what I want, and that is what kicked off the idea for that game.
I want to try that game, and I want to try oh god, what's it called? Corporea. The idea being I don't know how explicit it is, but the idea is that you are or you could be. The tagline is "Knights in Shining Armani," and it's a cyberpunk setting, with all the trappings. But your characters are either reincarnations of or the embodiment of the Knights of the Round Table are reasserting themselves in you, or you are a reincarnated a reincarnated individual, to like set the balances right, like the once and future king. So you're have this juxtaposition of a cyberpunk genre and like Arthurian genre as well. Really cool idea. I've never played it, but just hearing the tagline and hearing Runeslinger talk about it, that's how I learned about it. Like, that's cool as hell. I would totally be down for that.
I don't do much sci-fi, but I did one about the sneaker net, when corporations send big data on hard drive instead of through upload because it's faster. Interesting.
I'm not familiar with that.
Great premise. Another thought. Evil character game in that brighter future could also be fun. Yeah, I mean,
sure.
I think there's just like, there's a lot of potential for really interesting shit that you can do in that sort of a setting. But again, like we've talked about this before, like games, like we like games that have kind of a, like not only a strong opinion, but also just like there is a driving force just kind of built into it. And I haven't nailed down what that is yet. Haven't really been thinking about it too hard, but that is something to consider.
Absolutely. On the horizon.
The Minority Report movie as a setting pops into my head for the mind hack idea. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I really like that movie. It's not like super smart, but
I don't remember.
I love the style of that
I
movie.
hardly remember any of it, which is strange because I remember enjoying it when I saw it.
Yeah, it was
I
really
saw it
good.
when it came out, and I don't think I've seen it since then.
Yeah, I liked that movie a lot. I watched it like maybe 10 years after it came out because it's fairly old by now. That was like early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, early 2000s, I think.
and-
Mid 2000s at the latest.
Yeah, it still looks like incredible for the most part.
Yeah.
But that was a very, very cool looking movie.
Yeah.
If you are reincarnated in a sci-fi future, then can they keep reincarnating you, aka some kind of Death Knight Lich
Hell yeah. Now we're talking some cyber
or Johnny Mnemonic? That's right. Sorry.
mnemonic. I really liked the how they what's the word I'm looking for? They visualize how they brought to the screen the Altered Carbon show. I don't remember if they did any more than the initial season, but I watched it and I remember enjoying it. I liked the visuals. I read the book years ago, not knowing that it was a series and not a
Yeah.
standalone. But the idea of Meths or Methuselahs, ultra uber rich who can afford to essentially live
Live
forever.
forever. Yeah.
Everyone is like a wage slave until they're in their 70s to be able to barely possibly afford another body to keep working.
Yeah, to keep working in the
try
wage
to, you know,
cage.
the wage cage that never
Continue
ends.
to work in the Amazon factory warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but they did a really good job with the visuals, and I thought the story was good too. It's a good mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I got rid of Netflix a long time ago though, so I may have
Same.
missed it.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized one day that I had Netflix, but I was only watching Seinfeld on it. Like I literally was not watching anything else, and I was like, why do I
Yeah.
even have this?
Yeah. I remember I went through and I this is a couple years ago. The only thing I was watching is the same thing. I for whatever reason I got it in my mind because I remembered it vaguely when I was young. Like I'm going to watch all of Cheers. I'm going to watch. I'm gonna relive the early '90s, late it whenever that came out, and I did, and then that was like the last thing I watched.
Yeah.
I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
Cultural milestone of my early, barely remembered youth.
Yeah. I would like to see, because this just got me thinking of like, what are the last things that I actually watched? And it was like Boardwalk Empire and before that Rome on HBO.
I
would
need
like
to rewatch Rome.
Dude, it's so good. It was so much fun. I would like to see an RPG in the style of Lion and Dragon, like authentic
Yes.
Roman role playing. That would be so cool.
The best books in the Mithras line. This is what really sold me more than the core book for Mithras. Well, the core book is a misnomer. It's just one book. There's no supplement. Is their Mythic series? So they have. I think the first one they came out was Mythic Britain. Sprint in like the Iron Age. They have Mythic Byzantium. I love Byzantine history. I love Constantinople. They have Mythic Rome.
Yeah.
Mythic. I think 1 or 2 years ago they came out with Mythic. I don't remember. I don't know if it's Mythic Babylon or Mythic Mesopotamia, and they're so good. Such a great encapsulation, a great explanation, a great immersive source book for how life was and how the worldview was in Rome or in Constantinople during the Byzantine Empire or Iron Age Britain. Really, really great stuff. So
Yeah.
you say that might be something on the horizon one day.
Nice.
Mythic Rome book is excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Did you watch the AI Seinfeld show that was on Twitch? I did. It was so funny, especially when they got canceled. Any Garibay wisdom for us today? No, I turned off
shut off.
notifications. Yeah, for Garibay for a while, because when I first found him, I was like obsessed. But he posts like 5 videos a day, and so I'm like throughout the workday, I'm like getting notifications like Garibay uploaded another video. I'm like, holy fuck, what's he saying this time? And like, it got to be a little much.
We should do a quarterly Garibay update. Like every financial quarter.
Yeah.
Check in on the
Wear
financial
suits.
status of
Yeah.
WotC. Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
actually
that
really
does
funny.
sound
I
like a
wanna
good
do
one
that.
to watch. Man, the Garibay video about WotC sending the Pinkerton was particularly insane.
God.
That is something we need to watch.
Yeah. They had it coming. They should have.
I honestly, like when I heard that they send the they sent the Pinkertons, I was like, I kind of like WotC now.
Yeah. I saw your
Like,
post. Based.
Yeah, wow, I'm based. But also at the same time, it's like, what kind of idiot lets these people in? They're like,
Yeah.
open up. It's not the police, you know. Like, okay,
oh.
fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch that after this just to
Yeah.
get his take.
Yeah, that is that sounds amazing.
WotC roller coaster. I thought the ride was over, but they keep doing
Yeah,
it.
I know, but it never ends. There are no breaks.
There are no breaks.
It's funny too because like people are getting mad at this and they're like boycott WotC, boycott WotC. I'm like, you guys never actually boycott them, like they did with
No.
the D&D Beyond thing with the OGL for like 2 seconds, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm sorry, here's my money, take my money, please. You know, like these fucking idiots.
It's always the way.
Yeah.
It goes back. I don't know if this is like a James Burnham thing or a Yarvin thing, but the metaphor of the wall and the wave, sort of the populist wave. It's very tall but
tall
very
and then-
narrow.
Yeah.
And so for a hot minute, there's a huge fervor, and it expires almost
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is that holds true with, these Hasbro shills.
Yeah. I just don't understand why it really doesn't make any sense to me when there's all these people who will complain about how woke WotC is, and they just buy every book.
I know.
Like the
it's
people
like, what do you-
complaining buy the book. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't have to give them your money.
Yep.
Especially if it's just going to
No,
make
I
you
have
mad.
Yeah. Really insane.
Yeah. There are much better
And
games out there. Sorry.
Garibay was all Hasbro did nothing wrong, man. Not good.
That's not the right HDNW. Yeah.
HDNW.
We will not elaborate on what that means.
Yeah. But that is exactly what I would. I mean, that's the only dialogue choice for Garibay.
The D&D killer will be D&D, just like, wow.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, when a franchise gets so bloated and overburdened with corporate managerial red tape and
Yeah.
it saps the creativity
Well, that's the thing. We've
of everything.
said this to each
What
other a
happened
million
with WoW?
times, but it's like there's no the people who made 5e aren't there anymore. Who made
True.
5th edition. They're not there. They're not making the game. It's not even being made by committee. It's being made by the HR department. It's
Yeah,
like
the HR department and diversity hires,
right.
which are
The
often one
HR
and the same.
department. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's that just there's no creativity whatsoever to it, and it is
And
It's-
not only that, creativity, because of the managerial you know, creep, the
Right.
managerial. It not only is there no creativity, creativity is not
Permitted.
possible.
Yeah, it's not
It's not
possible
permitted,
in the structure of that environment. Like
right? Because
that's one of the great things. I mean, it's WotC propaganda in the end, but their documentary, Eye of the Beholder, that's about the art through
yeah,
all the editions, through the current edition. It's very good, very entertaining. But you listen to these guys, like they have Larry Elmore, and oh my god, I was about to say Scott Garibay again. Like literally, he's the name that comes in for any name that I need to. It's Scott Garibay.
mind virus.
Clyde Caldwell, and all the artists from there. They were describing what it was like to work at TSR in the early '80s, and they were like, "Yeah, it was a job, and you were expected to get your work done, but you could work any hours you wanted, do
Yep.
basically whatever you wanted, as long as you delivered the correct product and on time, then it was probably going to work." But it was this really just like kind of anything goes, creates like atmosphere for creativity. And that changed, I think, abruptly several times. It got much worse over the course of
Yeah.
the company. Once when Wizards bought TSR, and then when
Right.
for
Right.
sure again when Hasbro bought WotC.
Yep.
And it's just it's a place that will not produce anything creative because it's an environment that strangles creativity.
Yeah.
Um,
And in the current, in our current age, anything that becomes successful in a mass market way will face the same thing. This is the case with Marvel movies. It's the really any movies at this point that aren't independently made, because of the organizational structure. It's like I said, creativity not only won't be there, it's not permitted. It's diametrically opposed. It's mutually exclusive with the metrics
yeah.
of how financial success is measured. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's sad, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
it
That's
goes
just
back to my point. The hobby. The only things good coming out of the hobby are niche, independent
exactly
things. Not
because
out of
because
a
that's how the hobby started.
not only because that's how the hobby started, but it's not because of a like a hipster, you know, too cool for school thing. It's that literally is the only place where
Where you
corporate
can
overreach is not. That is where creativity
Right.
is, and never the twain shall meet.
it's the only place that is sets the conditions for something good to come
Correct.
out of it. Yeah.
Correct.
No, I agree. It's not a hipstery thing. Although I do
Yeah.
have some hipstery opinions about some things, and I'm fine with
Sure.
that. Yeah, let's catch up here. Bum bum bum. Blows my mind every morning. Hasbro did nothing
Yeah.
wrong. D&D already died, and a necromancer has it now. Thus, all the zombies.
That's all the zombies.
Creativity dies at the hands of the message and/or ESG. So true.
Yep. Very true.
Yeah, very very true. Although a lot of ESG companies are going to get real screwed, and a whole bunch of them were with Silicon Valley Bank. There's, I think they loaded up on a bunch of unnecessary hires, and now they're having to fire everybody. And it's, I don't know. I don't think that they're going to perform as well as people who didn't stay,
Get on board.
who didn't get on
Yeah.
board, except that the people who didn't get on board didn't get the access to the fire hose of money that was being sprayed at them by the Fed. So
Yeah.
there is that in the end. It's not all negatives.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what do we got here? Written lies. I can't wait to sit in Waterdeep headquarters, looking at all the cool avatars with their marketplace purple flaming swords, waiting for someone to invite me into their party to play with them. Yeah, is this for the?
I hope you brought your laptop.
Yeah, bring your laptop, your Alienware laptop.
Yeah, your Alienware.
Okay.
How do you do, fellow gamers? There is some kickback
Yeah.
on ESG. Hopefully it'll spread. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. It's so like, oh my god. It's also just like weakling shit. Like, oh, the planet. It's just like, shut up.
up.
God, nobody cares.
Yeah. Least of all, most of these people who are screeching, they don't actually care.
No.
They just
It's
want something
clout.
to
Yeah.
rail
It's
about. Exactly.
something to rail about and something to use against you as a weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever's expedient for the utilization of power.
Yeah.
I
I love it when people talk about this stuff though, because I'm like, I think we should hunt whales for oil again. Like, just melt them all down. You know,
Hell yeah.
we shouldn't even eat like the meat though. Just like waste it. You know.
Yes. Funny. I'm curious to see if I oscillate on whether or not the like the WotC VTT thing will be successful. It would be very amusing to see like Gen Con or Gary Con
Everyone's on a laptop.
loop back into like a basement LAN party, like
Yeah.
a Quake LAN party.
It was funny. I don't
It would
remember
be
who I
really
was
funny.
watching, but they were talking about that VTT showcase. They have dice next to them, and they're sitting
Yeah, they
there
have dice next
rolling
to
the
them.
dice on the fucking
Yeah.
thing. So stupid.
What are these things?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But it's also strange because all these WAG conglomerates is creating the perfect storm for all these new entertainment ventures. Power is all they care about. That is true.
Very true.
And they will say anything to get it, and they recognize that language is just a tool of power to them. So this whole thing of like debating honestly,
There are no good faith arguments.
there are no good faith arguments.
these
Exactly. Yeah. So get the commies out is all I'm saying. Commies get out.
Get out.
I haven't found
Yes.
WotC to have put out anything worth buying for years now, but keeping up with their slow suicide is entertaining enough. That's the thing.
True.
I don't know if it's suicide or not yet, because I'm
Yeah.
like, will these people just keep giving them money no matter what? Like, they might.
That's the thing. It really is. That's the danger of hate watching as well, because unless you're actually watching, in real time, something that needs to be destroyed and deserves to be destroyed get destroyed, it's far from clear. It's far from a foregone conclusion that it will be unsuccessful, because like you said, these lemmings are just giving them money,
Yeah.
in a lot of cases money that they don't have, working their wage slave jobs at
Yeah.
Starbucks, but also they're on board with the message, and so they are getting I have no doubt in some way, shape, or form, some kind of rebates or tax dividends or write-offs or some sort of governmental, maybe not WotC specifically or Hasbro specifically, but maybe Hasbro specifically, access to the fire hose. And when you have access to the fire hose, you're insulated from market pressures, because
Yeah.
you don't need to be dependent upon profit. If you can operate at what would be a catastrophic loss, it doesn't
Right.
matter, because your revenue is coming from essentially the
Nothing.
taxpayer.
Yeah, exactly. From us
Yeah.
and our future, and our children and their children's children.
Yep.
The GM was describing the scene, and they were just looking at the computer screen. Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The memes that would come of that would be amazing.
Yeah.
If
And the other thing is, I know that D&D Beyond, people do find it to be a useful service. Like I was talking to my my friend Dwayne, who plays D&D here, and he was like, I can't go back to carrying around all my paper sheets and keeping track of everything. He's like, it's so easy to just make your character and have it saved in the cloud.
Yeah.
You don't, if you spill coffee on it or whatever, like you don't have to painstakingly remake it and all this shit. Like I do get that. There is an aspect of convenience that a lot of people are probably do get some value out of. But like if their game just becomes playing on the VTT, whether it's on an Xbox or on the PC or whatever, I think that
I don't get it. Like, to me, I'd rather be playing a video game at that point.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would rather be playing a video game or a role-playing game in person than always using a VTT. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Like, I really don't know how this is going to turn out, because it could be that this is like the end of the relevance of D&D, maybe, or it could just be that D&D is around forever, and it's now literally Gatorade,
Yeah. But the question also, you wonder, especially given their track record, and what their obvious desire is to clamp down on every aspect of control.
Oh yeah, they want the walled garden where you're in their system.
It also takes money and personnel to develop modules, character options. A lot of that stuff is basically done for free, and is far more what would you say? A lot of people like much of the third party content.
Yeah.
That is put out from other tertiary companies. Will they be willing to thread the needle and offer some cut of the proceeds in order to have an endless stream of additional materials to keep?
I absolutely
it's like
think
mods
so.
for Skyrim or for a Bethesda game.
I mean, they've already got their thing. I think it's called the DM's Guild, where you can publish in their official settings and whatnot, and you can make money, but they do take a cut. And the idea is they'll make it easy for you to do that. They'll make it easy for people to like upload their own miniatures and have their own signature characters. And that, I think, will probably come with the strings attached around your neck, which is that this is now their intellectual property, and they get to sell it for all time, and the creators will be drawn to make money in it simply because they don't want to strike out on their own and do, which is way harder, harder, smaller audience, but I think people will trade their kind of creative freedom for that.
We will see. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I really don't know where it's going. So we'll just have to kind of see. What will it take for them to sell off or license D&D to someone else? I don't know. I think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen. Like, it's too
profitable, and
it would have
if
to be.
It wasn't profitable, it doesn't cost them anything. If D&D became completely unprofitable, or people stopped buying tomorrow, it would cost very little to sack the unnecessary employees or redirect Wizards of the Coast into something else and hold the IP forever.
They could, and
because
I mean, they
could come back in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, try it with something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like they could shut down the VTT if it's not profitable. Everything goes away, essentially. It's out of the cultural consciousness except for this niche nerd segment, and they could still sell for basically nothing. They could pay some desperate young game designer to come in and write the new edition and just sell it as, like a...
Or even wait 5 years and just re-release all of second
the same
edition
shit again. Yeah.
All of third edition again.
Right.
Don't even bother making anything new, and people would buy that in droves.
Oh, dude, yeah. If they this is the thing, you can get most of that stuff, print on demand now. But yeah, if they just re-released the old books, again. God damn it. Where did my camera go? Fuck.
Now you have the disease. I still hear you at the very least.
Yeah. And the tally light on my camera's still on. It did this last time. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Or I
but
won't.
yeah, it'll cost them nothing to keep the show continuing.
There I am.
Even if there you go, you're back.
All right.
Even if they take a massive cut into their profits for whatever reason, or let's say the new, whatever they're calling it now, let's just call it 6th edition. Say 6th edition is another 4th edition, and people for whatever reason really don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doesn't matter. They, it costs them nothing to, have this tool in their tool belt or a card in their deck. That still very culturally relevant to at least a rabid fan base.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't wait for WotC to offer their financing plan for the new books. Yeah. Get it all
Subscription
on credit.
model.
Yeah.
Get it like an Adobe product. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Pay us forever in perpetuity. That's definitely
In
coming.
perpetuity.
Like that's definitely coming.
Yeah.
So much freedom was lost in the name of convenience. Absolutely true.
That is always the way.
Giving them any semblance of your time and energy is like being near a black hole, so it's better to just leave them to their devices. Let the black hole evaporate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is one of the frustrating things I have with the Twitter or the YouTube commentary on culture war stuff as it pertains to fandom. I really do like Razor Fist. I like his aesthetic.
Yeah.
I like his character. But that, or like Doomcock, or some of these other commentators. On the one hand, I think what they're doing is, and I hate to use the word important because it sounds lame, but the fact of the matter is, all of Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, take your pick of what, comic books, Marvel, DC. These things are already dead.
Yeah.
They're already dead. And
Yeah.
they're not coming back. They're never coming back.
Yeah. What is coming back? We've said this before. It's what they did was they took it to the pet cemetery and they buried it in the soil of the Indian burial ground, and it's come back to life, but it's not the same, and it never will be.
Never, never, never will be.
Yeah.
For it to come, quote unquote, come back, the greater societal changes that would have to take place would be the upheaval would be so great that even for nerd scum on YouTube and Twitter, it would be so disruptive that would be the least of your concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would the collapse really would be in full play if at this point, I think, for the dynamic to change.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we got here?
I think if they want to make some easy money, they should license more video games. Yeah, that is a no-brainer.
I don't know why they didn't do that more with their Magic the Gathering settings. That seemed to me, I've never played Magic the Gathering, but I understand it's stupendously popular even now, from what I understand.
This would be
they had their Ravnica.
The smart move would basically be to run your D&D studio, have it be, because they want it to have this mass market appeal, and they want D&D itself to make all this money. What would be better is if they got really, really creative people, like hardcore game designers, to come in, make really good role-playing games in very, very interesting and compelling settings, and just use that to make video games. You know, oh, we
Yeah,
have the
I
new
don't know
setting,
why they haven't done that.
and we make them. We make good games off of that, and that's where you generate the money, and you subsidize the role playing company with that.
Yeah, I don't I don't understand why that hasn't been done. There's also an easier and there's a more robust pipeline with regards to making like video game content. You don't even have to make a quote unquote AAA game. Like you could make something. I mean, I don't know how well it actually did, but it seems like the new God, what's the genre called? Whatever the new whatever that 40K game that came out like a couple months ago. That seems to have been very popular.
I want
That's
to get
not
that.
a
Is that
particularly complicated game.
Is that the
You play either the
co-op
Ogren
shooter?
or the what's that?
Is that the co-op shooter that's in the 40K
Yeah.
universe? Yeah,
Yes.
that game looks fucking sick.
Yeah. Like it's clear that's like it's a contained
Let's try that.
sort of,
no. God damn it. Whatever.
gameplay loop. It's a tried and true. You could do that. You could do that easily. You could reskin basically that game or reskin what was the name of the game that came out before? Vermintide. Same thing.
Yeah.
Or like a Left 4 Dead situation or even something less strenuous. Any number of genres of video games would do super well. A first-person shooter. Turn a first-person shooter into, make a first-person shooter of a D&D game. You could totally do that. People would buy it. It would not be particularly difficult.
Are there boomers in Cyberpunk? If not, there will be this Saturday. Yeah.
Big true.
Yeah.
Yes. There certainly will be. The cyber psychosis is real.
Yeah. Gen X is as old as you will get. Yeah. What I was thinking in terms of a moment ago when you were talking about this, I think the reason they're not going like the video game route and everything like that, game development is very expensive. It is very hard, and you're not guaranteed a huge return. Like you can like a successful video game, like a mega success is like so much goddamn money, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like you do just have all these fucking dumb nerds who are into nerd culture lifestyle brand shit, you know?
If Lego video games do well, like holy shit. I don't know if Hasbro owns Legos or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I have no idea, but like surely they've made like shovelware games in the past for some of the other Hasbro toys. Again, I don't know, does Hasbro own Transformers? I don't know. But stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're coming out with another Transformers movie. And probably more video games tying into that. Yeah, I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just don't like
knows?
money and they are just ideologues. Who knows?
Maybe. That's also not out of the question for at least a certain portion of Wizards of the Coast. But I don't know.
Yeah, I
We'll
wonder.
see if Baldur's Gate 3 is good. I hope that it is.
I do too. Yeah, we definitely need to play that. Stream
Yeah,
it
we gotta
when it comes
co-op
out.
that.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna stream Cyberpunk when it comes out. The new expansion. Phantom Liberty.
Yeah. Phantom Liberty.
Yeah. Although I'll probably have to turn it on to like whatever where it gives the people clothes. Like they don't have it like you can't
Oh, yeah.
because it's on YouTube.
Yeah. Lame.
So yeah, no cyber tits apparently.
Cyber tits have to censor the in-game advertisements.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Learn to stream, boomers. Yeah, we're trying. We were
Yeah.
streaming fine, but then Gilded just said no more.
No more.
Baldur's Gate is pretty fun so far with co-op. Yeah, that's what
Nice.
we're looking forward to. Definitely need to give that a shot. But I just want it to be. It's still in early access right now, right? I just want the game to be done.
is. Yeah, I want the game to be done.
Says the guy who
I don't.
plays Star Citizen, but
Star Citizen, yeah. I think it's supposed to be. I know it's coming out this year. I don't remember if it's late summer or not. I hope it's good. I don't even remember who anybody is supposed to be in the quote-unquote party. I don't know how co-op works. But that should be good.
yeah.
Something to check out and experience. You know,
You guys are not
strictly
boomers.
speaking.
Yeah.
Not in age, but definitely in spirit.
Yeah.
And when it comes
in many
to
ways.
certain things.
Yeah. I'm having
Yeah.
considerable. This is the thing is I deal with like really complicated programming issues all day, like, and then I'm like, how the fuck do I use an app? I'm like, what's the button? How do I increase the text size? You know, like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, I don't even want to engage with most of the technology I do interact with. If I could get rid of my smartphone, if I didn't need it for work, I would.
I love my smartphone because it gives me Twitter, and Twitter is endlessly entertaining to me. Like I
That is true.
love Twitter.
Yeah.
And I like being able to like message friends and see the
Sure,
memes,
yeah.
see the funny meme pictures.
Memes are an endless source of entertainment, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Boomer Gen X cusp.
Oof. Gay and retarded. Oh man, we're gonna get shut down.
Yep. Well, worth it.
Yeah, worth it for that one joke. No, nobody give us a community strike, please.
Yeah, please. Probably no one here, but people later. Is Twitter that good? Never use it. I never used Twitter as well until Elon bought it. And
Yeah,
you told
it's-
me.
For me, it's exactly the
hilarious it was.
same, except that like all the that now the blue checks have been taken away from the blue checks. They're
Yeah.
all screaming about it, but it's exactly the same. Every once
Yep.
in a while, the feed gets like fucked up because they change some feature. I've heard the code described as like a fractal Rube Goldberg machine. It had basically no design. It's held together by gum and tape. So anytime they make changes, things sort of break, but
Yeah.
it's still just showing me what I want to see, which is like crazy people screaming at each other online about stuff that doesn't matter, like funny jokes, people dunking on each other, and like the news. You get the news. It's the fastest way to get the news is Twitter. So
yeah, it is a great tool to
Yeah.
send people in your community know about stuff, or to be made aware of certain events or streams, or like you said, news.
favorite game as of now. Video
Wanna
game or
narrow
role
that
playing
to-
game?
Well, let's
Let's say
choose a role playing game.
role playing game. Okay, that's a hard one.
Well, I know what you're most obsessed with right
Yeah,
now.
my obsession right now is Lion and Dragon, and the Dark Albion campaign setting. Like I'm working my way through Dark Albion right now, and I really like it. It's low magic, low fantasy. Humans are the only people that you can play. Monsters actually represent like archetypes of chaos and evil. It's exactly what I was looking for. And I am starting my game on Sunday. So the day after we stream, I'm running my
Nice.
home game with some people that have played role-playing games and some people who haven't.
Are you doing that at
and-
your place, or?
Yeah. Because I got that nice
nice.
big table. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
That can get bigger, I think, too. Like I have like extensions for it. That thing.
Oh, the extra
yeah, it-
slats for it.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like way too big for my apartment. But very excited to play that. And yeah, it just ended up being like exactly the game that I was looking for at the moment that I was looking for it, because I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah, yeah.
do like D&D taken a little more seriously with I didn't want the fucking Renaissance fair of furries, you know? I was like I just want it to be humans and like maybe some magical elements, but I was looking for settings and there just wasn't anything.
Yeah.
And then
Game,
I
a setting that takes the time period and the geographical area, the culture and the
yeah.
time period, basically, you know, pretty seriously on its own terms.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm the most obsessed with right now. I am I've been looking at my old Vampire the Requiem second edition set.
Mm,
I have the Blood and Smoke version, not it was before the licensing issues.
yep.
And uh that is a really
We should
good
have kept
book.
with that naming convention. It was so
It was
evocative.
so much better. I know, so much
Yeah.
better. Um that is a really good game.
Yeah.
And I will come back to Shadows of Estern at some point because that was close to what I was looking for. It was close, but it
Yeah.
wasn't quite it. And I really do want to run that game at some point as well. But it
Yeah.
was just like that was like almost hitting the nail on the head, and then this one was just like, like you got the right one. Like,
Yep. Love that when it happens.
Mhm.
I
What about
think
you? Yeah.
well, I mean, obviously I'm putting a lot of thought into Cyberpunk right now. That's my, I wouldn't say it's an obsession because it's something I already knew about, but it's something I'm engaging with the most right now is Cyberpunk 2020. I think my I think Mithras might be my my favorite. Although again, like you said, Shadows of Esteren is by a significant margin the best game I've come across in terms of establishing an aesthetic and a a vibe all its own. That's also something I definitely want to experience at some point in the not too distant future, hopefully.
Mhm.
What we got here? Uh,
Have you guys ever played
Get
Champions?
banned. I have not. I've heard horrendous things about Champions. In terms of its rule system, I don't know if that's merited or not. If I remember correctly, Ron Edwards is the sort of the mastermind behind Champions. Um, it's something I'd like to pick up or read just to get my own actual opinions on it. I've never seen Champions. I've never played it, run it, but I know it's been around for a fairly long time. Um, I really want to do a Supers game at some point.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, that is actually something that is Wretchedverse, Wretched Role Playing is great for. Is they have an entire game. I think might be a section in the book. I can't remember. All of this is like bleeding together because I've been reading.
yeah.
I've been reading too many things and working too hard recently on stuff. But they have it's like a street level superhero, like
Okay.
Daredevil, Batman sort of thing. That fits with
Nice.
Wretched Role Playing. Yeah.
I really want to do. Switch it briefly back to video games. I spent an ungodly number of hours, embarrassing and utterly shameful a number of hours playing in the mid 2000s City of Heroes, the MMO.
Mm-hmm.
The now defunct, although you can still play it on private servers. City of Heroes. I loved that world, and if I did when I do a Supers game, it will be in that world. Just need to find the right time and system for it.
Yeah. Mr. Max says, I'd like an historical setting for when the Normans, peak of human genetics, took over Britain. What a glorious time. Well, my friend, game's not going to write itself. Maybe you should do it.
There you go. Mythic Britain also talks about that in the Mithras, but again, that's a source. It's a source book, really just giving you not an info dump, because that has negative connotations, but it's a setting book of a historical setting.
Yeah.
The Norman conquest, and a bit before the Norman conquest, if I remember correctly.
Haven't gone through the whole
Champions
thing. My DM did, though. Very, very flexible system and allows for tons of customization. I think that's for champions. The Red Room are good people. Yeah, they really seem great.
They seem like very good people.
Yeah, they've been very friendly. I like their stuff. I'm going to be buying more of their products.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to review Wretched Role Playing at some point, but Lion and Dragon is coming first. And
Yep.
I basically got the script done for that video, at least the first draft. I need to go and like punch it up, but that's going to be like our first like YouTube video,
Yeah.
as opposed to this long form stuff.
Street level supers has always been a dream of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's let me go grab the book real quick because it might be in there. 1 second.
Yeah, street level to, I don't know what terminology you would use to, maybe like street level to sort of low level capes is a really great sweet spot for me. Really not a fan of like cosmic level. Your Supermans, your Silver Surfers, your I don't know, the Spectre, Galactus, and all that jazz. I'm sort of incomprehensibly unwieldy. The stakes become so colossal, it kind of breaks down, I think. The Wretched, is that the core?
Yeah, so this
Wretched?
This is the core book.
Yeah.
Let me get it so it'll actually
Wretched, okay.
see it.
Yeah.
Wretched Role Playing Game. So it's got.
I really like that format a lot.
Oh, the digest, yeah, the size.
I love that. So that's my preferred
It's really great.
format.
I like it a lot. Yeah, you've got like
Oh yeah, old school Shadow.
cybertech and biotech in here. Rules for vehicle combat, sea battles, fear and insanity, magic, psychic powers, settlement management.
Nice.
So it's all across different like genres and time periods. Okay, so here's their list of games, or their current list of settings: Wretched Bastards, which is dark fantasy; Wretched Country for spaghetti westerns; Wretched Epoch, which is 19th century world of horror in the 19th century of Paris; Wretchploitation; Wretched New Flesh, where you can explore a dystopian Moroccan city inspired. Oh, wait, hold on. Those who enjoy future noir will love Wretched New Flesh, where you can explore a dystopian Moroccan city inspired by the works of William S. Burroughs, William Gibson, and David Cronenberg. Wretched Space and Wretched Apocalypse.
Okay.
Wretched Darkness delves into the darker side of human nature with its horror/urban fantasy setting. These are the ones already available. Oh, okay, we've ended that setting description. But others are planned, such as Wretched Vigilantes, a street-level superheroes game world. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a newcomer to the OSR, Wretched has something to offer everyone.
Yeah. Definitely something I want to check more, or look more into.
They've also been publishing, and I haven't picked these up. I think they have a subscription that you can just subscribe and get their stuff through their website now, which is
I'll
great.
have to look into that.
Yeah, and they've been releasing.
I would be open to that. Their stuff is like small enough not to be unwieldy, and again, like I've said to you many times, and probably a couple times on our channel, I was blown away by Welcome to St. Cloud.
Yeah, they've been doing this series though, which I think is like maybe once a week, this thing called The Wretched Verses, which is like small, like it'll be like $1 for a PDF. And it's like small adventure content for various game lines and like inspirations for things. I think with the
Nice.
idea, it's kind of like what Pundit did with, I think he kind of,
Yeah, the RPG
told them, he
Pundit
was like,
Presents.
this is like something you should do. Yeah. Pundit Presents, yeah, exactly, which has been compiled into the Old School Companion and the Old School Companion 2. Now I don't know if Social Encounters on the Silk Road came out of this format, but there's like a bunch of
I'm sure
different
there's
things.
at least a portion of it that
Yeah.
you can find. You can trace its lineage back.
Right. But it's they put out a lot of content. Like a lot. And
Yeah.
they I think they've got day jobs too. So I don't know how they're doing
That's
it. Teach us
nuts.
your ways.
Yeah, please, for God's sakes.
We're drowning
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. As Cherry brings up, Red Room Cult actual play got me to buy the game. I did not know that Red Room was doing actual plays, but I love Cult. I haven't played the first edition of it. I backed the Kickstarter for the beautiful deluxe version of the Cult second edition. I love it. That is whenever I'm on the docket to run some kind of a horror game on this channel, I think it's going to be Cult. I love that. Atmosphere first, great world building, super evocative, and stellar production value.
Yeah.
I hope they're still making more stuff for it. I haven't kept up with the line in a long time.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not I hope it's not over.
Yeah.
Please make more things. I have the Cult Tarot deck too. It's so very evocative as an in-lore object, but also they have like rules for how to use it, basically to create sessions or even campaigns, sort of in the milieu of that world. Really cool stuff. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know they were doing live plays.
The more that I've kind of sat with this book, because like I did my initial like flip through on the lunch break when it first, got to my
Yeah.
doorstep. But I've been jumping around sections and reading the different parts of it. I really like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I like the people.
Yeah.
Like I really dig the style. And even though like the game, like, it's called Wretched, like it just
Yeah.
it just sounds horrible and disgusting, which I
Yeah.
guess is the point. Like
Yeah.
even though there is
It's also, I think, it's tongue in cheek.
It is tongue in cheek,
It's
like
satirizing
Yes.
the message,
exactly
like the deplorables. Like it's
like it has, yeah. And I'm not even saying like like it sort of has a sense of humor in parts, but it's kind of jolly to me. Like that's the only way I can describe it, is that I'm just like, this seems like fun. Like,
yeah. Again, the sense I get from their channel is the perfect amount of self-awareness.
yeah, exactly.
Which
They
is which is
like,
great for something like this.
Yeah, because they're not tipping their hand too much.
Yeah.
They're not,
And that's what saves something from being like your modern everything is black and miserable, sort of like actually leaning into the cynicism.
yeah.
It's a tongue-in-cheek kind of.
Or you're doing
not,
the Jim looking at the camera from the
Yeah.
office at every turn, where it's like, you get it? Do you get the joke?
You get
Isn't
the joke?
this weird? Isn't this awkward? Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, that's what I can't. I some of the more like Gonzo stuff that I've seen where it dives over the edge in terms of like tongue-in-cheek self-awareness. Self-awareness is, I would rather have something that's soul-crushingly cynical than like completely ironic and self-referential. Because I would
Yeah.
just,
Oh God.
I could at least get into the world.
Yeah.
Something that's cynical for a very particular type of game.
Yeah.
I just I hate that sort of like lull so random or you get it
Yeah.
humor.
Oh my God. I hate it so
I,
much.
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Oh, S Cherry, Red Moon role playing. Yes, I have listened to their podcast. Uh, One of like the only actual play productions that is watchable. And it's watchable because it's not watchable because it's just audio format. But from what I remember, it's been a long time since I listened to anything. But it's interesting because it's a live play or a let's play, whatever you want to, whatever the
Yeah.
terminology is. But they don't, from what I remember correctly, they edit out any interaction or engagement with the mechanics. So
Oh.
it's
So you're not
basically
just okay.
it's just like a radio drama.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think. Yeah. But, they actually they stay in character, which is
Yeah.
the first most fundamental rule and the most broken
Yeah.
rule.
Man, I've been looking at live
Sure.
plays recently. They're so fucking bad. Like
It's unwatchable.
it's unwatchable most of the time. Every once in a while it's
almost all
not.
the time. Yeah.
I'm sure some people would probably look at some of the live plays that I did on this channel and be like, "This is
Yeah.
unwatchable." But
Yeah.
but I mean, that's kind of the nature of it.
yeah. Savage Cheerleader. Cult Divinity Lost. I wasn't aware there was a second edition before Cult Divinity Lost, but that's what I was referring to. Bottle Cap. I don't think there is a way to make a community page on YouTube to share recommended TTRPGs, is there? Not to my knowledge. If you guys have any recommendations, or as we've said before, stuff you guys are working on, comment below. Put it in the
please
chat
do.
here, or put in the comments below if you're watching it later.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense to put it in the comments of the video because the chat will replay. It's much
yeah.
easier to find if it's just in the comment. But please, let us know. Let us follow you. Let us know about your games. Like very interested in everything that we're finding.
Seriously.
Yeah, so here's like their extra dice mechanic in here. It's optional. It's called Wild Dice. Wild dice are a mechanic used to add an element of randomness and uncertainty to certain actions or rolls. The game master has a number of wild dice equal to the number of players at the game session. Each player has one wild die. I can't talk anymore. Per game session. At certain cinematic moments, either the GM or the player can use a wild die to modify a roll. The player or the GM rolls a 1d6. If the result is an odd number, that number is added as a penalty. This is not what I was looking for. That's not the one I was looking for. Okay. Never mind. I'll find it.
It'll have to wait until the actual review.
Right. Exactly. But there's some cool shit where basically it's like you get like these extra dice where you roll and like you might knock someone's teeth out and it ruins their sex appeal characteristic and like it's fucking great. Like,
Nice.
Yeah, like I can see using this system for like all sorts of stuff. Really for like I know they like their Wretched Bastards setting is very much like a low or not low fantasy, but it's like a Conan pulp fantasy sort of thing.
Okay, like a sword and sorcery type.
Yeah,
gimmick.
yeah. You can definitely run any sort of game like that. You can run weird pulp adventures, horror stories. You can do sci-fi, like modern games. Like it seems really really versatile and like a lot of fun. And this is like I said, this would be an easy drop-in to use for Stalker, like for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Victor Gorchev. Don't know how into the OSR you dudes actually are, but since you mentioned Cyberpunk, I'm starting my work on my old school essentials Cyberpunk / sci-fi supplement soon. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, keep us posted about it. We we're not OSR people, but
Yeah.
we're sort of discovering or perhaps rediscovering certain aspects of the hobby, which have kind of been, I don't know if you'd say cultivated or, allowed to flourish or allowed to come to the forefront within the OSR community that are certainly interesting from
Yeah.
our experience and how and what games we've come up with. So definitely want to check out some OSR stuff. I know you're deep into Lion and Dragon. Something I really want to purchase at some point. I don't know if it's a separate game in and of itself or if it's just sort of more of a source book. There's a book. There's a book called Veins. I want to say Veins in the Dark, but I might be getting that confused with Blades in the Dark. Veins of the something, but it from what I've seen on YouTube, a really crazy deep dive, literally speaking, deep dive into ideas for how to put over and embody and illustrate a subterranean setting and how to explore subterranean environs. Veins in the... I can't remember. Veins in the something, or Veins something.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, we're not like OSR gamers, and I think most of the interesting conversation, at least, is happening around the OSR. Like, there's nothing interesting happening around 5e, and I generally I'm not a huge into the D20 system and whatnot.
Same.
Like it's, but we
Veins
are
of the Earth.
yeah, like we are very interested in creating our own games at some point, and so
Yes.
compatibility with the OSR seems like a possibility at some point.
What I'm really interested in. I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback on Lion and Dragon, Matt, and
Yeah.
I really want to delve more into OSR as it pertains to different settings, because as I think we've said, maybe in the initial episode of the podcast, one of the things I've always been skeptical on regarding OSR material that deviates from the old D&D playstyle, the dungeon crawl, or at the very least, a fantasy genre. I do believe that system does matter,
Yes.
and I do even right now I question how flexible the D&D mechanic, the core 6 attributes, D20 plus modifier, how flexible it is and how successfully it can accommodate different genres. I would love for that skepticism to be completely unfounded.
Yeah, and this is something where I've been thinking about this in particular recently, because I was like, I feel the same way, but it's right now it's just an intuition, and I don't really have
Right.
like I haven't thought about I haven't really thought about mechanics in like a deep way, like outside of like I know what I like when I play it, and what
Yeah.
I don't like when it gets in the way and everything like that. But from like designing mechanics, I'm not sure like what is important and what makes for a good mechanic, and
Okay.
what makes picking, how do you get good at picking a mechanic? Because my thing is, it's like compatibility with OSR makes sense from a financial standpoint if you're making products.
Yes.
Because you already have like a built-in community audience,
compatibility, a discovery.
Yeah, and it can be used. Like they can just pull the pieces out of your game that they like, use it in their games. You're still selling copies.
Correct.
You'll get people playing current editions of D&D who may come into the OSR who will be interested in it. And so like not being in the OSR kind of, it is a big limitation in terms of audience. Like so there's a financial incentive to do it. But at the same time, I'm also kind of a purist in that, like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it like I want the game to have the mechanic that supports.
Yeah, the mechanic that most supports. Now we've talked about it before. This is going to be part of any review or retrospective that we do. And these things will be forthcoming on the channel. We're talking not just about impressions as such, but we talk a lot about what, how and what cultivates immersion or an immersive style of play. How do these mechanics, in our experience and from our perspective, help to bring that about? What other mechanics might be better suited to do this thing that the game is trying to do but maybe doesn't, from our point of view, deliver as well as perhaps it could.
And there's always the option, release the game designed as you want it, and then we release the OSR compatible version.
OSR compatibility, yeah.
Buy it again. You must have both editions, consumer.
Yes, exactly. Consume.
Do you not want to
Don't you want your shelves in your bookcase
right
owing
don't
down
you want the book that has the exact same cover, exact same spine, but the internals are just a little bit different?
A little bit different.
Yeah, they're just a little different.
Yes. You'll never be able to sleep properly
if you don't have both. Yeah.
If you don't have
The important thing, though, is that you have both of them and you never play them.
Yes.
You just collect
exactly.
it. It just goes on the shelf.
Yep. Victor Gorchev, I'm the co-host of the Basic Expert Show. We're thinking of having you guys on sometime. We both write OSR games, so it would probably be a good subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd be down to come down.
We would love to interact more. We've said it before. We definitely want to interact more with the community. Hear other people's perspective. Put our we're trying to figure out what's what in the scene as well. We're trying to. Mission from God is for us as well to to embody the immersive style. I am sad that we had to.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to jettison our.
We'll reincorporate it into a different
different form,
a different video type.
Yeah. We had to get rid of it because it massively killed audience retention right in the first 8 seconds of the video. It was just kind of like, well, okay.
It was the right choice to make.
It was. And it made an immediate difference, so.
Yeah. Worked. Cores or Corpse, EABA, I don't know what that stands for, and Apocalypse, and Apocalypse World. Each of those 3 games is eminently malleable for an experienced DM. I'm not familiar with Corpse or.
Yeah, I don't
trying
know
desperately to decipher the acronym.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, holy shit. Getting introduced to the OSR, I was like, what is BECMI? What is Ostrich? It's like I'm getting like these things because you had. I remember at one point. I think it was probably when you came to Austin. We were just talking about games, and you're like, "Oh yeah, well like DCC, Osric, blah blah blah." I was like, "What are you talking about?" You're like, "Well, it's the OSR." I was like, "The what?" I was like, "You gotta tell me what these fucking what these acronyms mean, man." Like,
yeah. It is its own language.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I've picked up a lot of it. There's still one or two, like I see them and I'm like, I don't know. It's some kind of D&D. Like,
Even for me, like I've never played. Certainly not at the time. I wasn't alive at the time, but I haven't since then played. White Box or Moldvay or I haven't played any of these things, so I know that there's a distinction between these things. I don't know mechanically. What is the difference between White Box and BX? Do they mean the same thing exactly? I don't know. I know enough to be able to follow along in the conversation to know that this means this and that means that.
Yeah.
What exactly the differences are, substantively, I have no clue. I'm going to pronounce that the Derini role-playing game based on Fudge is an outstanding book. I've never heard of that either. Again.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Based on Fudge.
I've heard of Fudge.
Yeah, guys, please put these on the comments of the video so we can follow up and actually look at these, because it'll be hard to come back through the live chat to find them.
What might be helpful, Crafty Map, what might be helpful is to see the mechanics in action. Well, definitely with our live plays, that is certainly the intention.
Yeah. Something
that might also be a good idea for like a review, to give at least talk through a situation or a circumstance and talk through how the mechanics are resolved. I think that is helpful.
Yeah.
Like a review or a retrospective.
I saw a video by Dungeon Craft that's been out. It's been out for a couple of years, but I found it really interesting. Which is just getting rid of initiative entirely. In combat, like everyone acts at the same time, like both sides declare their actions, everyone rolls their attack rolls and their damage, resolve all the conflicts, next round.
It all happens immediately.
Yeah, it all happens simultaneously, so it feels more frantic, and you're not sitting there like, what's, like, whose turn is it next? Like, because I was thinking about this recently. I had played the Game of Thrones board game a couple of years ago, many years ago at this point. It had to be like 10. Maybe not that long, but I was still in New York. It was a long, long time ago. But in that game, you basically all do go at the same time. Like, there's a planning phase, everybody plans their moves, and then there's the resolution phase, which everybody flips their tiles. You see who's invading which territories, and you all, between the players, you sort out the battles, or whatever the results are of your actions. And there's one person per round that has like some special thing that they're doing. But I really liked and I know this is not a role-playing game. This is literally a board game. But I really liked the aspect of like everybody's playing at the same time and we all just resolve these conflicts and then the next round started, because I've played like an unholy amount of hours in Axis and Allies across my lifetime. And that game, holy shit, it takes forever. Like you will not like, it's like an hour per round. You know, it's like you have your turn and then you don't go forever. And if you're America in the beginning of the game, like you don't have anything to do. Like it's really hard. So I don't know that video, that's because while we may not be OSR guys, we have played every game not every game that has initiative, but every game has initiative in it. And so I think that's a mechanic that I can safely experiment with getting rid of.
I'm pretty favorable to that idea, actually.
It seems
everybody
cool.
declared their actions. I think the new iteration, maybe the older as well, iteration of RuneQuest, basically it has initiative, but you're supposed to, everybody declares their action so as to prevent like strategizing or like out of game strategizing. And because to put over everything is essentially happening at the same time, but then everything takes place in initiative order. That's
the other thing, was that everyone declares their actions. Both sides declare their actions. You have 2 minutes to do so. So there's a time limit on it. So there's no like, okay, let's declare our actions and minutely plan the angles on all the spells and things like that.
I'm going to be starting every other Sunday. I'm going to be running Dragonlance. I just agreed to this because I'm an insane person. But I'm going to get like a charades hourglass or whatever.
Yeah.
What are those party hourglasses are? Like,
Yeah.
I like that. 1 minute, figure it out. Let's go.
Yeah. Move it along.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a whole bunch of comments. Sorry, we went on kind of a tangent there.
Yeah.
Mini 6.
Mini 6 is a great rules light system too, based on West End Games' D6 system. The original Star Wars RPG from West End Games was an outstanding piece of game design. Check it out. I got the 30th anniversary of the re-release of West End Games D6, and I just created a character for it last Friday. I'm super excited to be playing it next Friday. I'm playing I'm using the Bounty Hunter template. I haven't heard of Mini 6. I've heard of a game called Tiny D6. I played it at a convention, but I will check that out.
Yeah. Heading off again for now. Catch you dudes later. Yeah, thanks, Victor.
Later on.
Yeah, take it easy. He's already gone a while ago, so he didn't hear us say that. But it's the thought that counts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crafty Matt. But mini games are great to pull mechanics and resources from and get ideas from. Yeah. There's 1,000 OSR games. They are all 90% the same. Probably.
Probably. It seems like they're all mining from the same.
I mean, they're all taking from the old school D&D rules.
Yeah, it seems like they're all mining from the same 5-year period is what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in. Yeah.
Greg Porter's kind of faded away. Did you ever play Warp World or Time Lords? Great little games. I have not.
I've heard of Time Lords. I was scheduled to play a game of it at Gen Con, and the GM reached out. So I never got to play.
There are no real mechanical differences. The writing is the difference. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the sense
I would say maybe with the exception of there's probably some edition out there that's still using attack tables and THAC0 as opposed to ascending AC. Maybe there's some minor difference, but
right.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's kind of the point I was getting at though, is that making an OSR product is if someone sees aspects of your writing in your game that they can pull into yours, then there is an incentive for them to buy it. So
yeah.
Anyway, let's keep going on. BX and Onward is what most of us think of as D&D. White Box and alike are based on the original Little White Books and are more board game like. Okay. Board game like meaning the early 20th century war games with very minimalist rules and mass combatants,
tabletop
etc.
wargaming stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Robert Anthony Peters. Loving the videos, guys. Catching every one of them. Can't wait to play. Yeah, dude.
Oh.
So this is our
this is one of the lucky
this is one of our lucky yeah. So Robert, if you're still in, so this Saturday we're starting a Cyberpunk game that's going to be pretty fucking awesome. And then it's not clear exactly when we're going to start this. It'll probably be on alternating weeks at some point, but I am going to be running that D&D game that we discussed, and you're still in, man.
Oh.
That D&D game now being Lion and Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Robert Anthony Peters is an old friend of mine, and super excited to get him in a game.
Absolutely.
S. Cherry. Have all the EABA stuff and Time Lords.
End all be all, I think.
End all be all, got
advised,
it.
Which I haven't heard of.
And Time Lords was pretty interesting as a standalone and as an end all be all conversion. Gents, I've been gaming for 30 plus years. Slow or fast initiative is more a matter of table culture and group dynamics than it is a matter of rules. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Big thing about OSR style games is initiative is usually side based and combat has an order of operations instead of player order. Okay.
Players versus foes. Yeah. I know Torg does that as well, depending upon the what I forget what you draw from the drama die. If it's a grim dramatics setting, the villains might go twice
Yeah.
before the players get to act.
The most complicated initiative system I've ever encountered is Exalted Third Edition, where you do damage to people's initiative, and like it's fucking crazy.
Oh god.
It's very interesting though, but it ultimately it was
I will say the initiative system. So I'm in a second edition AD&D game every other Saturday, and speed factor is being used, and
speed factor for weapons.
speed factor for weapons has been so unwieldy, in my opinion, because some poor soul, in fact, Steve is the poor soul who is keeping track of initiative, and depending upon what you do, your initiative changes, and it can change in the round, then it changes back, and some people have two attacks, and that attack happens on your initiative, doubling your speed factor, but it's only every second round. I have a second attack that happens every third round. There's another player that has potentially like 3 attacks at different times and on different rounds. It's holy shit. This is like utterly insane. But maybe I'm just a grug brain, an 80 IQ person. I can't figure it out, but it's been
Might be
wild
it. Yeah.
experiencing that.
Popcorn initiative is cool too. You dice for an initiative winner. If in fact it's not situationally clear, the winner acts, then nominates who goes next, and so on.
Okay, yeah.
Is that good,
Heard
bad, or
about
just
that.
different, Crafty? Hyperborea, for example, goes side initiative, then melee, missile, magic, move in that order, meaning that melee can attack missile to prevent missile from hitting magic and losing spells.
Got it.
Egg timer.
I've heard
Yeah.
a lot about Hyperborea. Or I think as it was formerly called, the wonderfully evocatively titled Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. I think
If I were to say that I have heard a lot about, or no. If I was to say I was a fan of Hyperborea, it would be in the same sense that like SJW tourists in hobbies do, where that means they've heard of it.
yeah.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. That means I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So no, I don't know much about Hyperborea. Outside of like memes, not directly related to the game.
Which are the
Yeah,
best.
which are the best.
Yeah.
In the system I'm working on, you can attack the initiative of someone and re-roll your initiative if you take time to reassess the situation. It is more of a tactical game when it comes to combat.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, the attacking the initiative thing, this is what I'm getting at with Exalted 3rd Edition. You are attacking and damaging people's initiative pool, and so this changes like the order of who goes like round to round. But it's also when you overcome someone's initiative, you're doing 2 different types of attacks. It's like you have what's called like a withering attack, which is where you're going to be like clashing swords, hitting. You may be hitting them, but it's like grazing their armor, all this stuff. And it's the more and more that you're pushing someone to being on the ropes. And so if you have a very high initiative, you can do what's called like a decisive attack, where I believe your initiative, because it's a dice pool game, with way too many dice, your initiative pool is then used as an attack against their actual health levels. So fights are very much like this push and pull of characters like epically, clashing swords and dancing across the scenery until one person gets that really deadly strike in, and the fight's over. So it's cool, but it's a flawed system. But it's White Wolf, so what do you expect? For being honest. Any thoughts on MERPs?
I've never played it. Middle Earth role playing.
Oh, okay. I was like, GURPS? I don't like GURPS. Middle Earth role playing. I haven't either. I'm less interested in Tolkien style fantasy now than I have been in the past. I'm really, really excited for a grim, gritty, deadly, real, authentic medieval campaign. I'm experimenting with some design ideas I had over the years. It might crash and burn. Experimental game. That's awesome. I mean,
throw
I
it
would
against the wall. Yeah, go for it, man.
I'd love to hear about that. And Max, I'd also because I know that you've talked recently about like your video on like what makes a game objectively bad versus just not to your taste. I really liked that one and would
it's a good video.
Yeah, like I know you've worked in like video games and things like that. So thoughts on like actual game design? I'd love to hear that because I just don't have the background on it yet.
Mm-hmm. Merps was great, lots of Tolkien lore, a great take on language and culture for characters that feels so very real and textured. Stick with basic Merps, not roll master, too many tables. I do, again, neither of us having any familiarity with it. I'm certainly, any game that would be taking place or drawing direct inspiration from Tolkien, any devotion to those things would go a long way in my book to making me want to play it. I would be interested in doing something in Middle-earth, but it would have to be the right time, the right group, right system.
Hat tip for Cyberpunk, rolling a single D10 is very swingy. I would recommend using 3D10, drop lowest, drop highest, keep middle value, or use advantage, disadvantage. We shall see.
Interesting.
I want to see how this plays sort of as written first. Like I said, like in our when we talked about this in the podcast, we're bringing in net running rules from Cyberpunk Red into 2020 just because the 2020 rules suck.
I especially in an online game, it would kill the watchability.
It would be horrible. But otherwise, I think the core mechanic, we'll give it a shot as is, and then maybe play with it.
We may make course corrections, but we want to give it its sort of fair.
Yeah, we want to like actually, play the game the way that they intended. I still think Golgoth still manages to use the OSR to successfully create a sci-fi setting.
I'm not familiar with Golgotha. But
there's a couple of sci-fi settings like Red Room has their own. I know Pundit has one that he uses to run like Star Wars, like space opera stuff.
Oh yeah.
The name is escaping me at the moment.
The name is escaping me. I'm picturing the thing.
The
from
thing
video,
where they're
cover,
or the one
which I think he said he uses it for Star Wars, basically. In his game.
I'm less interested in that than I am in right now. Like Lion and Dragon, obviously he's got. His next game is gonna be fucking dope too. It's like Poland in like 10th or 11th century.
Yeah.
So it's like drawing from all the Polish folklore, and people are like, "Oh, you mean The Witcher?" It's gonna be. I'm sure there's gonna be overlap. But,
Witcher just happens to also be drawn from. Polish folklore.
That one's gonna be good. I really want to do get the Silk Road books, but again, it's just like I have so much. I have an embarrassment of riches of RPG books right now, so I don't need any more.
Yep.
To clarify Hyperborea, all melee goes first based on the side initiative, then all... Oh, wait, no, we read that. Didn't we?
No,
it's a clarification to the other one. Okay, all melee goes first based on side initiative, then all missile, then all magic. Move happens last with move plus melee / missile / magic happening here. Two-handed / slow happens last. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where once you saw it in action, the order of operations would make sense. I am following the logic. I think it would probably be fairly smooth, at least to remember once you play it a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, so it sounds like we did miss one. Are y'all gonna try a no initiative system for Cyberpunk? I don't think so.
Yeah, we're gonna try the initiative as it is. Again, if it becomes burdensome, maybe one of these other alternatives will be used. But Intention is to make it go pretty quick.
Matt says this is any TTRPG system that isn't VTM or VTR for me. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
an Exalted, which is a lot of dice. It's an absurd amount of dice. You can be rolling like 15 or 20 D10 on a single roll. It's insane.
Crazy.
Never played GURPS. Why don't you like it? I remember attempting to read the book when I was a child, and that experience left a very bad taste in my mouth, and I never got over it. And that's why. And I also don't like things like that are supposed to be super general. Like they're supposed to be general for literally anything, because then
literally everything.
they're good at nothing, and they don't like. I want some sort of like genre constraints along with it. Like
Right.
like rules and genre like sort of go hand in hand a lot of times.
And yet, what's interesting, I have no familiarity with GURPS whatsoever. It's interesting to me that several like fantasy series or franchises have basically come out of GURPS games.
Yeah.
I think we were talking when
Malazan Book of the Fallen.
I was in Awesome Malazan. And I know there's several others. For some reason, they're escaping my mind at the moment. But it is interesting that GURPS seems to have spawned a number of like really flavorful fictional settings. X says, I'm working on that game like it was my thesis in game design. I'm trying to solve some questions, one being, can deeper rules promote roleplay?
By deeper, do you mean grit/crunch? And he says, if you guys haven't watched the channel Arbiter of World, you definitely should.
I have not.
I have
so
not
I
either.
should.
Yeah. Pundit's game is Space Adventure. Yeah, okay.
That's it. Max, that is a valiant effort. I'm curious what your take is. My suspicion is that they can
Yeah.
promote again. Not necessary, but you know, I do think system matters. But very curious your thoughts as you delve into that question.
Well, I find that like a lot of times like abilities and powers within games, if they're written well in an interesting way, that does give me a sense for how to roleplay within that world.
Yep.
And sometimes there are abilities that are directly roleplay, like tied to roleplay. But I don't know. Yeah,
And
my intuition says yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. And there's certain terms or certain mechanical restrictions that do, or mechanical presentations which do constrain and shape your opinions, your conceptions of the world, like Vancian magic, classes as a thing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll consult the cryptic symbolism in my dreams, and I'll get back to you with the objectively true answer on that. You can include roleplay in the rules. Example, vocalize your ability to manifest its full potential. Very rough example. Yeah.
Sure. I always encourage that if someone's casting a spell or something, or actually praying to a god or doing something for the first time, like what does that look like? What does that sound like? What are you actually saying if you are asking your deity for aid, or you're conjuring forth something from, the infernal regions as a conjurer or something?
Is it more important for streamed games to be more rules as written?
I don't think it's necessarily important. I don't think that question is question of rules as written or rules as interpreted or homebrewing rules. So I'm taking more important to mean watchable and interesting to observe. I think just having something that flows well and having the players and the GM have a working understanding of whatever rules you're
Yeah.
working with, and have the players and the GM, again, of course, committed to role playing and staying in character. That's what's most
Yeah, and my
important. But
like, which is I
we're
think what,
specifically taking the tack of trying to experience the rules as well as doing that.
and I think there's kind of two reasons we decided to go with the red Cyberpunk Red net running rules, because
Yeah.
one is it just I looked at it a little bit and
The rules are
I was
so
like,
obtuse.
yeah, I was like, we're gonna have to be consulting the book while we're playing, and I don't want to do
Constantly.
that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think in 2020, like you said, like you're like in a building, blocks away, jacked into the matrix when you're net running. You're not there with the party. Whereas in Red,
Right.
they've reworked it so you're there and actively with the party the entire time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For both of those reasons, it's
Yeah.
it was a sort of an executive decision that was.
Yeah. A good one, I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
Order of operations is much faster combat than individual initiative because every player declares action at the start of a round, and the referee adjudicates the results based on the order of operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that because
Yeah.
it's self-evident what goes first.
Right.
I can definitely see the appeal.
Yeah, I really like the idea of everybody like everyone declares actions at the same time. That probably is much more.
I do like that
Yeah.
a lot as well.
Conan 2D20 players always go first, and referee can interrupt player turns with the Doom
yeah.
mechanic.
Yeah.
Weren't you talking about that
GM.
earlier?
Yeah, it's one of the hallmarks of the Modifius 2D20 system, and I think all of the 2D20 systems are franchised games. Dune, Conan, Dishonored. Yeah. The players and the GM have a meta currency. In Conan, it's called Doom.
Yeah.
So there are negative things that the GM can sort of inflict on the scene.
Yeah. What game, in your opinion, has the most solid battle mechanic for your more cinematic roleplay style?
Good question.
That is a good question. I really like Within the Ring of Fire. It's and especially for battle. Like if you want something that is more kind of cinematic, then games like that, and I mean this is from, I think it's also in like Savage World. It might not be Savage Worlds. Don't quote me on that. But there's lots of games that do this, where essentially like you look at the player characters as the for lack of a better term, star of the movie. You're the protagonists,
Yeah.
and low level enemies are considered like extras in a movie. It's when John Wick is like going through and like killing everybody.
Yeah.
He's killing the people who aren't characters, that aren't
The
important.
mooks, the goons,
yeah, like
the nameless henchmen.
right. And so it's like in that system, if you're fighting an extra and you hit them, they're dead. You describe how you dispatch them, and it's very quick because it's just like hit or miss, they're dead.
Right.
They can still kill you. They're still very deadly, but they're not like bags of hit points. If you want more challenging foes, then of course you can still stat out a monster or stat. You don't have to treat them as extras. You can just do the combat as you would between like player versus player or player versus NPC. You still can do that, but it kind of depends on your taste. But I did like that, and I liked the boost mechanic on it. Basically, it's a 2d8 system versus it's you just add your skill plus maybe an attribute modifier plus whatever comes up on the dice versus a difficulty number. 8s explode, so you get to re-roll those and keep adding up, and 1s suppress that. So you get, and of course, a double 1 is a critical failure, and a double 8 is like a crazy success.
Right.
And for every like factor of 5 that you exceed the difficulty rating, you get what's called a boost, which is either an extra point of damage or an extra degree of success on whatever it is that you're doing. And when you start boosting, if you get more than, I think it's like more than 3 boosts on an attack roll, you're not just doing damage to someone, but you're also damaging their armor. And so I really liked it. I really like the exploding 8s. Just 2d8.
Exploding die mechanics are fun.
I really like exploding dice. Yeah. Same thing in like World of Darkness. You have exploding 10s for the most part.
10s explode.
Yeah. I think in some versions of their games, it's just counts as 2 successes as opposed to re-rolling.
Which is less fun.
Is less fun. Yeah.
D6.
But the thing is, I haven't found I do like that mechanic, but at the same time, I'm not like married to it. And
this is what I was gonna say.
I don't like. I haven't found a combat system that I'm just like, yeah, this is it. Like,
yeah.
They're all.
And again, there's certain combat systems I want in certain genres that I don't want in others.
Right.
So there's some games I wouldn't want extras in. A lot of them I would.
Yeah.
Some I wouldn't.
No, like for sure. That's why, like I'm saying, like some games extras make sense, and in others they would be like it just wouldn't. You wouldn't want extras. It would ruin it.
Right, like in a personal horror.
Yeah.
Or like Alien or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like another xenomorph down. I guess you could say, I'm talking about a face hugger or something, but even then. But that is the struggle. We said in one of the recent episodes, problems usually manifest first. If they don't happen immediately because the game is absolutely terrible, in all regards, the stresses are going to be visible first in the combat system or the combat scenes.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. What we got here?
Streaming games need players and referees that know the rules enough that the rules don't show during the stream. Like fighting games, watching bad Street Fighter is awful and boring. Completely agree.
Agree.
Which is why I will be spending tomorrow freshening up on the rules. No, but I completely agree that. I prefer that even when we're, when I'm playing with just my regular group.
It's just better, even if you're not.
You don't need to know the whole system, but anything that's on your character sheet, you need to know that. Like you need to know how to use all that stuff. And if you're a new player, it comes like you learn that over time.
Be engaged,
but you don't get to stay ignorant of it forever. Which I've had a couple times, and that is so fucking annoying.
Yep. Crafty Matt, I don't know about you guys, but I like enough crunch that players can use tactics other than eye attack, yet still be light enough to run Theater of the Mind. I dislike battle maps. Yeah, agreed.
Players can use text. Yeah, no, I agree.
I want the characters to be able to. I want it light enough so that the characters are operating tactically in a way which makes sense for their characters. If you're playing a seasoned soldier, it would make sense in the scene for you to be using certain maneuvers and certain things to get the upper hand and to win.
It's like if you're watching like Vikings, they'll I don't know how historically accurate this is, but it is interesting for the show.
100%.
Is that they it turns out like they get in a fight and it turns out like holy shit, the English really are outnumbering us. Someone yells shield wall and everybody immediately comes back and they make their shield wall and they're protecting themselves, and then they it's just like a very quick tactical decision that is made on the fly. Everybody knows how to do it. But if you have people who are like, I'm imagining players using battle mats and whatnot and playing it like Final Fantasy Tactics, where you're counting the squares out and being like, okay, I could move there. Like you're thinking of it like chess,
like chess or exactly.
Like that. I'm like, I am so against that.
Get me out. Get me out.
Yeah.
Conan 2D20 is incredibly deep mechanically while also being very cinematic. Yeah, I bought the Conan 2D20 system. I really liked the production value of it, and I never got a chance to play it. And I gave it away about 4 months ago to another friend of mine. I'm hoping he runs it for me.
Yeah.
Um,
You're welcome.
yeah, this was a gift for me.
If you homebrew a lot, you're going to have a bunch of midwits in the comments complaining. I think that's going to happen no
Very
matter
true.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, no matter
Yeah.
what. The skill is.
But my thing is, if
skill list.
if we did do that, I would just I would argue with them in the comments as if we didn't homebrew. And we were like, I'd be like, dude,
It's in the rule.
Yeah, it's in the rules. Check the
I
page.
do like that.
Like, what are you even talking
Raw.
about? Yeah. and that will drive them insane.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. RBG's Dumb is here. How's it going, man?
Hey. Max says, do you like when games come up with their own name for the GM, or is it tacky and overdone? I don't think it's tacky and
I don't
overdone.
think it's tacky and overdone, but it can be tacky, but
It can be tacky.
I think I don't know. It's kind of annoying to me at this point. I'm like, just call it a game master. We all know what you're talking about. Like,
yeah, don't, if you want to do that, that's fine, but don't
excuse me.
don't dump all your creativity in coming up with a fun like, and your game stuff. You've emptied the tank.
Yeah.
Your game just
the real
fucking
important
blows.
stuff.
Yeah. If you want to call it whatever, 'cause people are gonna default to calling it GM, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, but I think usually like, ooh, the maestro rolls for rolls initiative, like, and the game just fucking sucks. Odivius is slowly moving away from licensed games and making its own IPs. Very cool.
Nice. I like that.
After June 1st, Conan
Will no longer
and
be
Mutant
available
Chronicles
for
and
sale.
John Carter will know. Damn. Well, I'll need to get the Cull book. I actually prefer Cull the Conqueror than Conan, to be honest with you.
I haven't read any of Cole. I have I have a giant compendium of all the Conan stories. I've read about a little over 50% of it. It's
Nice.
so good. I've actually, but the thing is, I said it as if I'm reading it. I read that 5 years ago, and haven't finished it. So I need to continue. But I love those stories. That's another one where it's like the dudes are fucking badass, the chicks are hot.
Yeah.
Conan gets the babe at the end. It's fucking awesome. There's a scene in one of them. I don't remember which story it is, but it opens with Conan like riding down the docks, like being chased by the constabulary, and someone asks him like,
I think it's the Queen of the Nile, not Queen of the Nile, Queen of the whatever. Yeah, where he meets up with the pirate queen.
Yeah. That's the one.
time.
But there's this line that's so fucking funny where they're like, Conan, what happened? And he's like, well, my friend was accused of a crime last night, and so they asked me to come to court, and they asked me to testify against him, but I told the judge, I looked at the judge, he asked me this very strange thing, and I said, I'm his friend, right? That would be dishonorable of me to betray him. And they said that that I had to, or they were going to detain me. So I cleaved the judge in half.
The Nietzschean vitalism we need.
I know, it's so great. Well, that's the thing. It's like Conan. It's like just drinking deeply from the cup of life and everything. It's soft. I fucking love it.
Exactly. Yep. Game with exploding eights again. Within the Ring of Fire, as put out by Wood WWAD here on YouTube. Andrew Wood, one of the old RPG
YouTube
first
brigade.
or second wave RPG people.
Yeah, it's
thank you, Matt.
it has that game again. We've said this before. It's the core rulebook is pretty deeply flawed. Some of the mechanics aren't explained. But the mythos and especially the pantheon is like unparalleled. The book 77 Thrones is one of the best books I've ever come across.
Cosmology and deities and religion.
And you can just bounce around it finding out who these gods are, get all sorts of great ideas. Really, really interesting stuff. Very creative, but it's very out there and bizarre. Like it's not a. I wouldn't call it high fantasy. Like what would you call it? Like he calls it dark fantasy, but it's and it is dark. It's very dark, but
yeah, I would call it.
It's got like 100 playable species.
Yeah,
it's basically everything in the monster manual is playable. But
yeah,
and a lot of the art
I
sucks,
say,
which is unfortunate.
Interesting. The more I think about it, I would say it's a high fantasy genre in a low fantasy technological world.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
Especially
it's
seeing
very cool.
now gaming with the guy more, I could see where a lot of inspiration came from like Forgotten Realms or D&D games. A Crafty Matt coming in here with Black Pills. The rights for Mutant Chronicles belong to the same Chinese company that owns Conan, Solomon Kane, Millions Must Die. Very, very depressing.
Excuse me.
I take back every optimistic thing I've said tonight. That sucks.
Facehuggers are the one thing in film that legit affect me. Bring whatever to life for real, except even just one of those.
What a horrendous fate.
It's such a fucked up monster.
So
I
gross.
love Alien though.
Yeah. Yeah, them are the head crabs.
Yeah, Half-Life.
I've wanted to do a Half-Life game for a long time, and I've put that on the docket.
For a neat combat system and a hat tip to aliens, check out John Harper's The Regiment. It's only a couple of pages long. Love
I've
that.
never heard of
Highly compressed fun. Gaslighting the midwits. Nice. Exactly.
Yeah, now we have to make our own game to do that.
Yeah.
Queen of the Black Coast. Yes. Matt,
dude, that would be funny. Would be to make a game and do live plays where the rules are different every time, but just pretend that it's
yes. Oh my god. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Conan has a mechanic where you can do displays. If you cut off a commander's head, you can affect the minions. If you're covered in blood, brutal scream, minions run. Your very name can instill fear. Yeah. Yeah, this is so I may not be a fan of reaction rules. I am a fan of morale for monsters.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Uncom, I guess the Chinese company doesn't own the rights. They're just the primary licensor. Okay, a little bit better.
Pretty sure Conan is public domain. It might be. Because
Maybe.
I think it's when did he write that? Was it 20s or 30s? He wrote all the Conan stories in like a year. Like it was
yeah. Well, he died young. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Primal Order by Peter Atkinson. He got rich from Magic the Gathering, I bet. I've not the game, the Primal Order, or is that a book? I'm not familiar.
He says the story
stories are not the character.
Not the character. Interesting. Which is why everybody and their mother has made Tower of the Elephant. In like comic form and yeah.
Great story, but
Interesting that the character wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder
how.
Know.
I used to know a lot of the IP rules, but I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Howard killed himself. That's correct.
Yeah, sadly.
Book on deities. 77 Thrones was the one that we mentioned. It's called 77 Thrones, the Theological Codex.
Correct.
Well, man, it is.
Oh, Matt. Yeah, I think
late.
we've more than made up. We've more than atoned for our boomerisms and our gap.
Our stream dying.
But yeah. But thank you guys for sticking it in for the long haul with us.
That's what
really
she said.
Hey-o! All right, time to delete our channel.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. Brightened our days considerably, and
yes.
we're looking forward to hanging out more. Please come by the stream on Saturday, and then yeah, we'll see. Podcast might be a little late next week just because we're streaming on Saturday, and I got a game on Sunday, and
You got a game on Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll see. But
we'll have notifications up.
Yeah, but it'll be out there. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Great talking to you all as always.